Guys, welcome to another episode of the Boom Breakdown. It's fucking boom time, baby. Biggest fight of the year right here. Biggest fight of fucking MMA lifetime right here. Biggest fight in UFC history right here. Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Man, I'm so excited for this fight. There's so many different factors going into this fight that I'm just really intrigued about. Obviously, Conor with the 2-year layoff, and we don't know what he's been doing in that 2 years. I think he's the type of guy that stays in the gym and works on things that he has to work on. Hopefully, he's been working on his wrestling and his grappling game and his get-ups and stuff like that. And Khabib Nurmagomedov is a guy who comes in and mauls almost everybody he fights and makes it look pretty easy. So I'm really excited to see what plays out in the fight, and how the first round goes will be a big tell in how the rest of the fight will go, in my opinion. I really feel like Conor McGregor is getting fired up, getting really emotional, which is something I think is to his benefit when he goes into fights. He likes to make it personal. He likes to get things fired up, and he likes to go in there with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, like he wants to kill this guy. And Khabib, on the other hand, he's trying to stay calm, trying to stay relaxed, and it's hard to do with Conor because he's a really good talker. He gets under your skin a little bit. I think at the press conference, Khabib did a pretty good job of just keeping calm, staying relaxed. Got through that with, a fairly easy, and didn't let Conor get in his head too much. We really don't know what he really feels inside his head as he leaves that kind of thing. But I think Khabib needs to stay calm, relaxed, and perform the way he needs to perform. He can't get emotional in there. He can't get overwhelmed with the moment, because fighting someone like Conor is different than fighting anybody else in the UFC. So it's something special when the lights go on and Conor walks in there and the crowd's going nuts. All the Irish fans, all the Russian fans are going to be there. It's going to be nuts. But yeah, so Khabib, we've seen him trap guys on the ground. Once he gets you down, he traps you really well, and he lands good ground and pound, and he likes to talk to Dana White. And I just think it would be so exciting. What a crazy scene it would be to have Khabib on top of Conor, talking shit now after all that's happened, and talking to Dana White and saying all these things about where's your belts and blah blah blah, and just mauling Conor, and Conor having trouble getting up and dealing with it. Like, I'm kind of interested to see if that takes place in this fight. Obviously, on the other hand, first round's a big round, because if Conor can land that accurate left hand, we don't know if Khabib can handle that kind of power, that kind of accuracy and precision, because yes, he's been hit by a guy like Michael Johnson, who has very good power and speed, but I'm not quite sure if Michael Johnson hits like Conor does. Conor knocks guys out, and when he hits them, he really puts them down and has them lost, where their equilibrium's off, or they're just out cold. So Conor's just a different level, different breed, and I really think Khabib has to close the distance and avoid that left hand on the way in, and get Conor down fairly early in the fight, where he can get him at least tired to the point where if the first round ends and Conor gets saved by the bell in the first round, it's going to start on the feet again in the second round, and we're looking at the same scenario where he gets caught and the fight could end at any moment with a left hand punch to the chin. So Khabib has to do a really good job of tiring out Conor early on in the fight. Whether, he's just in his face, smothering him and getting him down and keeping position and landing ground and pound and advancing position and making Conor work, to try to get up. And if you can tire Conor McGregor out, that gives you a little bit more of a benefit in trying to win the fight. Obviously, if Conor wants to win, he's got to keep his back away from the cage. I think Conor's going to come into this fight with a little bit of a wider stance. I think he's going to be bouncing in and out, somewhat like the Aldo fight, because I think what he wants to make sure is that if Khabib presses forward really hard, that Conor's ready to throw an uppercut down the middle, a left hand down the middle, a knee down the middle, a front snap kick down the middle, anything to keep Khabib away so that he can't get a hold of his legs. That's what Conor's going to be looking for. I think we're going to see a good movement from Conor and a wide stance, bouncing in and out, and making sure that Khabib can't get a hold of those legs. That's a big factor for Conor. If Conor could start to land strikes and stuff a couple takedowns early, kind of get Khabib questioning, damn, this guy's better than I thought at defending takedowns, that's going to be a big problem for Khabib because we've seen him get hit a lot. You know, we've seen him take shots, and he definitely doesn't have a glass chin because he's not been knocked out. Never mind lost a round or a fight, so we can't say that about him. But we've seen him stumbled a little bit. We've seen him rocked. We've seen him get caught. We've seen that left hand land from Michael Johnson. And if Conor lands that, man, you don't know what kind of reaction we're going to see. Khabib could just go flat out like Aldo, or Khabib could get rocked and wobbled so hard that Conor's able to follow up and finish with strikes, because Conor knows how to pounce and be a shark in there when he sees blood in the water. So take a sip of coffee. San Fran, baby. Always got to have that coffee on hand. So really, I just want to break down this fight because this fight is what it's all about, and then I'll make some picks. But my pick in this fight is going to be Khabib. All in all, I feel like he's going to find a way inside. He's going to get Conor down within the first 2 minutes, and he might take a shot or two, but I think he's going to have his guard up, and I think he's going to be aware, and I think he's going to get Conor to the point where he's defending takedown after takedown, and he's going to get one, and he's going to keep Conor down. He's going to land some ground and pound. He's going to try to play with him, talk to him, and I think Conor's going to have trouble getting up. I think Chad Mendes did a good job of keeping Conor down for a little while, landing some shots, some elbows, some ground and pound, and Conor was able to deal with it, but I think Khabib's another level, man. I think Khabib has this weird way of tying up your legs with his legs. He has this squeeze with his hip control, with his wrist control, with the gloves, holding the wrists, and just kind of making you feel stuck. And I can see Khabib doing that to Conor over the first couple of rounds. It might take him a couple of minutes, but if he could do that for the larger portion of the first round, he's going to tire Conor out, and I think Conor's going to come out in the second round a little bit slower, a little bit less fast, you know, with his hands, a little bit less powerful, and that's when Khabib's going to start taking over with his aggression on the grappling and the takedowns and the ground and pound. And it would be crazy to see it, but I kind of just want to see Khabib up against the cage on top of Conor, talking to Dana White, and just see what he has to say, you know, just see what Conor has to say back, you know, what kind of response is Conor going to have? Someone like him with the ego that he has and with the cockiness and confidence, like, what is this guy going to do when Khabib's on top of him, mauling him? Like, that's what I could foresee happening. So I'm really excited to see if that plays out. I ultimately don't know if Conor's going to get finished. I think that's the big question. Is Khabib going to do this for 5 rounds? I think that Khabib should really look for the finish if he sees it, because we've seen in past fights that he kind of just takes his time and just kind of plays with you until the end of the fight. And with Conor, I don't think you can do that, because every round it starts standing, and if he's okay to throw some strikes, you're always in danger. So first, second, third round, if Khabib has the chance to maul him and finish him with ground and pound strikes or even catch a submission, take it. You know, get rid of this guy. And I think that we're going to see something in the third round where Conor's a little bit tired, Khabib gets him down, and he keeps him there, and he finishes the fight, whether it be ground and pound or a similar scenario to Nate Diaz where he's hurting him with the ground and pound and Conor kind of turns and gives his back due to fatigue, and maybe we see a TKO to strikes, or we see Khabib take an arm or take his neck. I don't know, but I'm going with Khabib in the third round somewhere. That's where I think the fight's going to get finished. We got Ferguson and Pettis. Man, Pettis has been looked really good as of late. Ferguson came off a big knee surgery, 5 months. The doctors told him it was going to be a year. This guy is diligent as fuck, man. I swear this guy is, he's got a mentality like nobody else. He's got a chip on his shoulder because, you know, he was stripped of the title and all that stuff. He feels like the UFC's against him. He feels like people have written him off. And, you know, it's kind of fucked up. He lost out on big opportunities because of little mistakes like that. And, you know, lost out on the opportunity to fight Khabib for the real title for, you know, a huge fight. So, you know, I feel bad for Tony in some ways. But I do see a guy that has a chip on his shoulder, that's really focused, that has this thing about him. Like, you know what? You forgot about me? Well, I'm going to fucking remind you in this fight against Pettis. And I got to say, Pettis is tricky everywhere, man. The guy's underrated on the ground, slick submissions, catches you out of nowhere. He's dangerous everywhere, very tricky on the feet, flashy. He looks like he's starting to throw a little bit more confidence in his game lately, where he's not worried about wrestling, because if you take him down, he's going to throw up some crazy submissions on your ass. So Pettis ain't worried about that. Ferguson is as funky as they get, unpredictable, awkward style, switching stances, almost breakdancing in there, doing fucking salsa and weird shit like that. So it's really hard to find a guy like Tony Ferguson in there and figure out what he's doing. You know, he throws very awkward strikes, but he has power behind him. We don't see him knock many guys out, but we have seen him finish guys on the feet. So Ferguson's dangerous everywhere too, man. The guy's a 10th planet black belt. He's got darces, he's got triangles, he's got sweeps, he's got awkward scrambles. I mean, the guy gets fights bloodied up. He's throwing elbows off his back. He's trying to cut you. You're never safe anywhere against Ferguson. Honestly, I see Pettis with the advantage on the feet. I think he's a little bit more seasoned with the kickboxing. He's a little bit flashier. He's a little bit trickier. And I think that he knows how to control striking fights a little bit better than Ferguson does. Ferguson, we saw him getting caught a little bit with Kevin Lee, and then he ended up on the ground. He actually got taken down a bunch, and he threw up that submission. Kevin Lee was a little tired, and he caught him. Pettis, different story. I think on the feet, if he's starting to pick Tony apart and he lands some strikes, he's got devastating kicks, man. That guy's going to throw some heavy liver kicks to the body, very hard high kicks to the head, very fast. It's hard to see where it's coming from when he throws. I could see a big upset with Pettis here. I'm not saying he's going to win, but I could see it. You know, it's not an easy fight to pick. And Pettis is a big underdog in this fight, but he has a little bit of momentum. And Tony being out for however long he's been out, I think a year or whatever, 2 years, whatever it was. Fucking phone's going off. That's going to have to hold a minute. But, yeah. In the end, I think Ferguson's going to get the win. I think he's going to finish the fight on the ground somewhere. I think this fight's going to end up on the ground. I think Pettis is going to be a little bit too much on the feet for Ferguson, but Ferguson will stay there, and he will get crazy and flashy too, and he'll throw some awkward shit at Pettis. I think he's going to catch him too, because it's just really awkward stuff. But I think Pettis is going to be getting the better of him on the feet, and then Ferguson's going to get a takedown at some point and land some kind of crazy submission when the fight gets dirty, when there's blood, when there's, fatigue setting in. And, we've seen Pettis has the ability to quit in fights. You know, if things are going rough for Pettis, we've seen him find a way out of there. And we really haven't seen that from Ferguson. So I think that's going to be the big factor in this fight. I'm going with Ferguson, either by submission or decision. But Fergie, baby. El Kukui right there. So those are the two fights that I'm just fucking so excited for. Can't wait. Short breakdown. Just do the top two fights for you. We'll be back next time. Hope you guys tune in. Follow me on Instagram, BrianBoom135. Follow me on Twitter, BrianBoom135. And follow me on social media to my journey for my fight at Madison Square Garden, November 3rd for UFC 230. We're fucking repping New York, baby. Let's go. Boom! Chill.